When the U.S. citizen spouse contacts USCIS and withdraws their signature from the I-751, the next thing that will typically happen is USCIS will send a request for evidence. If you can satisfy the immigration officer at the interview and show that the marriage was entered into in good faith, they will remove the conditions on your residency even though you are now fully divorced. For those of you who are new here, I'm Puyan Darian. I'm an attorney focused entirely on immigration law. And today I want to talk about a situation where you are applying to remove the conditions on your green card by filing Form I-751, and your US citizen spouse withdraws their signature from your pending I-751. So what does that mean? What does that situation look like? When you are applying to remove the conditions on your green card, you have to file Form I-751 within 90 days of your conditional green card expiring. Most people already know that. So after you file the petition to remove conditions, you'll get a letter that automatically extends your green card for some period of time. Currently, it's 48 months. So we apply to remove the conditions by filing I-751, and within a week or two, you'll get a receipt notice that says, use this letter as evidence that your green card status has been extended for 48 months. You would show that letter if you want to travel along with your expired green card, or if you need a new job. And this is basically while they are processing your form I-751 to give you a full unrestricted 10-year green card. Now, what happens if while your I-751 is pending, your marriage falls apart and your US citizen spouse contacts USCIS and withdraws their signature from the I-751 form? And what do you mean withdraw signature? What I mean is when you file this form, both spouses, the immigrant spouse and the US citizen spouse, have to sign the form saying, we are still in a good faith marriage, and along with this form, here is some evidence. Thereafter, a year or two later, while that application is still pending, that US citizen spouse can contact USCIS and withdraw their signature. So what I want to talk about is what would happen if this happens. When the US citizen spouse contacts USCIS and withdraws their signature from the I-751, the next thing that will typically happen is USCIS will send a request for evidence to the immigrant spouse saying, your spouse has withdrawn their signature. How do you want us to proceed? Essentially is what they say. And you have a couple different options at this point. And this is usually when I'll get hired to help resolve the situation, help the immigrant spouse retain their green card, fix their status. So if you're going through this situation, our consultation and contact information is in the video description below. At this point, the immigrant spouse probably needs to resubmit an I-751 in a different category. So what I would typically do in this situation after I'm hired to fix it is I would tell the immigrant spouse, look, are you guys gonna get divorced? Are you gonna stay married or separated? Because to remove your conditions, you either need to be fully married with both spouses living together in a good faith marriage, on board, both signing the form, or you need to be fully divorced. You can't be separated, you can't be in limbo. So what do we do? Because you can't get divorced instantly. It can take a few months or even longer in some jurisdictions. And you just found out your US citizen spouse contacted USCIS. You're still legally married and it's gonna take a while to get divorced. So this is what we would do. We would refile an I-751 form in response to this request for evidence, indicating that we are gonna get divorced. Actually, the form requires you to say that you entered the marriage in good faith, but the marriage ended through divorce. The marriage has not ended through divorce yet, so we will add a one-page explanation at the end saying we have filed for divorce and we intend to submit a certificate of divorce as soon as it's available. What this will do is buy time. You need to immediately file for divorce, and we would file a copy of the divorce petition along with this I-751 form to show USCIS that you have a divorce pending. This will allow you to retain your permanent residence for now. 6 or 12 months later, USCIS should issue another request for evidence asking you to submit the final divorce certificate. Now, if at this point you don't have a final divorce certificate, you're gonna have some problems. And that's a really terrible situation to be in. Consult with an immigration lawyer. We can find a solution. There are solutions generally available when that happens. Now it's 6 to 12 months later and you get that request for evidence asking for the final divorce certificate. Since you've been working with a lawyer all along and you've been listening to your lawyer's advice and working with a divorce attorney simultaneously, you now have a final divorce certificate, so you submit it to USCIS to satisfy their request for evidence. After that, typically about a year will pass, maybe longer, maybe 2 years. But USCIS will eventually schedule for you, the immigrant spouse, and only you, to appear for an interview. And the purpose of this interview is to prove that when you entered the marriage, it was entered into in good faith. It ended through divorce, that's okay, that happens. But they just want you to prove that the marriage was a real marriage from the beginning, a bona fide marriage entered into in good faith. If you can satisfy the immigration officer at the interview and show that the marriage was entered into in good faith, they will remove the conditions on your residency even though you are now fully divorced. And you will remain a permanent resident until you either become a citizen or abandon it or get deported from the United States. I don't know, should I say that? I mean, that's true. It is true. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of this video. The main things to take away: when you're removing the conditions on your residency, you should focus on either being fully married or fully divorced. No separation, we're gonna wait it out until immigration gives me my green card situations. That's a terrible idea, as I've mentioned in many other videos on this exact topic. If you're going through this situation, I'm sorry, but I can help. Contact me. The consultation information is in the video description below. It explains all of our procedures for consultations and how to schedule them. And I'm available to do these consultations nationwide by video, telephone, or if you're local in New York, in person. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next week for another one.